Senator Payne. I refer to the government's extreme higher education changes. Is the minister aware of the comments by the architect of the HEC system, Professor Bruce Chapman?
Order. 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 This does not help across the chamber. Continue, Senator Brown.
By the architect of the HEC system, Professor Bruce Chapman, that an unintended consequence of greater unpaid debt will be 40% of female graduates unable to pay their debt in full. Why is the government unfairly shifting the cost burden of a degree onto those who will never earn enough to repay that debt?
The Minister for Human Services, representing the Minister for Education, Senator Payne.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I thank Senator Brown for her question. It's lovely to hear from Senator Brown. We are making some very important changes in these education reforms, as the chamber would be aware, Mr. President, and I've spoken about them before in terms of making Australia internationally competitive, in fact a world leader in higher education, making sure that we open up the sector to competition and to, I think, quality providers, making sure that students who are perhaps challenged into entering entering bachelor degrees have a pathway to enter tertiary education, maybe through a sub-bachelor degree or a diploma or something like that. All of those positions, for the first time ever, will be funded by the Commonwealth Government, as I've said before. In relation to the loans scheme, to HECS and to the loans scheme, a number of targeted decisions have been taken by the government to secure the scheme into the future, both through the budget process and the identification by the Commission of Audit of the need to reduce the cost to the Commonwealth of help through changes to the interest rate and the repayment thresholds applying to help loans. This will be particularly important given this budget's historic extension of funding to all higher education students for the first time ever, and I referred to that earlier, Mr. President. There are two important changes which will make help more financially sustainable. A fair interest rate on HECS. The interest rate applied to help loans will be, as we know, the 10-year bond rate. This rate reflects the costs to government of borrowing to fund the loan and is less than a loan that anyone is able to obtain from a banking institution, of course. The new interest rate will apply to all help debts from the 1st of June 2016.
Time has expired, Senator Payne. Order. Order. Senator Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a supplementary question to the minister, and I refer again to Professor Chapman's comments that outstanding student debt under a deregulated fee system would substantially exceed the budget estimate. Why has the government understated the amount of student debt arising from its extreme higher education changes? Well, an answer would actually...
Order. 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 The Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I think what Senator Brown does not acknowledge in both of her questions is that we believe that in opening up the system in the way in which these reforms are cast, that the higher education institutions, not governments, will be the best judges of how to run their own business and also of how we're able to maintain and promote a world-class higher education system.
Senator Carr. Wait a minute, Senator Carr. On both sides. Senator Carr is entitled to be heard in silence. Order. Senator Carr.
Mr. President, my question is one of relevance. The point is, both of these questions to them, in point of order, the point of order is both these questions go to the issue of HECS debt. The first went to the question of female graduates and HECS debt, and the second to the government's underestimation of the HECS debt. The minister has refused to deal with those matters.
Order. Order. On my right. Order. 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 There's no point of order at this stage. I'm listening to the minister's answer. The minister still has 35 seconds remaining of the question. The minister.
Thank you, Mr President. And I did want to move on, in fact, to the question of the repayment threshold. We have made it very clear that graduates will begin to repay—
Order. 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 Minister. Order. Order. Debating it across the chamber does not help at this stage. Order. The minister has got the right to be heard in silence. Order. On my right. On my right. On my left. Senator Payne. Continue.
Thank you very much, Mr President. What I was going to say is that, and if I could just finish the next two words in the sentence, graduates will begin to repay their HECS debt when they start earning over approximately $50,000 in 2016-17 from the 1st of July 2016.
Order. Time has expired. Now, when there's silence on both sides, I'll give Senator Brown the call. She's entitled to be heard in silence.
Thank you,
Order.
Mr President.
Senator Brown.
The second supplementary. Can the minister confirm that university degrees will cost up to 3 times as much under a deregulated fee system and leave graduates with debts of more than $120,000? Why is the government mortgaging the future of young Australians?
Now, when there's silence, we'll proceed. Order. Now, the time to debate this is after the question time. Senators Cormann, Senator Brown, I'm waiting to give the call to the minister so your question can be answered. Order. Time to debate it is after question time. Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr President, and I thank Senator Brown for the supplementary. The problem with the approach that is being taken by those on the other side to this question is that they can only deal in hyperbole and exaggeration. They actually have no facts with which to deal. We have Australian universities dropping in world rankings. We have limited choice. We have every student not being funded by the Commonwealth. What we want to do, Mr President, President—
Order, Senator Payne. Resume your seat. Order. Senator Moore.
Thank you, Mr President. My point of order is on relevance. The specific question referred to the increase in university fees. The increase in university degrees will cost up to 3 times as much. That was a specific question, Mr President, and I ask you to draw the attention of the minister to that question.
I do draw the minister's attention to the question. The minister has 33 seconds remaining. Minister.
Thank you, Mr President. Let me make it very clear for Senator Moore and Senator Brown. I don't actually agree with the premise of Senator Brown's question, and I responded by saying it was based entirely in exaggeration and hyperbole. So I don't agree with the question. Therefore, that is my answer to that part of the question. What I would then like to advise the chamber, Mr President, is that we are giving higher education institutions and students in Australia the capacity to be internationally competitive, to engage in thousands and thousands more courses, which should see 80,000 students, 80,000 more students in our institutions by 2018.
Senator Eggleston.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is